This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 412, Online Hypnosis Sessions, the Do Hypnosis Anywhere 2023 update.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
If you're looking for ways to successfully expand your hypnosis business around the world, if you're looking for more ways to help your clients to achieve their goals, you are in the right place. Hey, it's Jason Linett, and this week's episode is going to be relatively brief because, first of all, I'm going to share with you 5 specific sort of takeaways and epiphanies, or let's call them discoveries, that I've had in the last couple of years working with my clients online. In addition to that, part of the reason why this sort of short episode is coming out this week goes back to about this time last year that I put on an event called Do Hypnosis Anywhere. It's a 5-day challenge for confident online hypnosis, 5 days of training, 5 days of specific tasks to get you into the flow of now beginning to bring people into your hypnosis work, dealing with the confidence of what we can do online, dealing with the troubleshooting of how do you modify the techniques to work at the online platform. And we did this last year and had a little over 1,000 people participate in the event. Yet, as much as we've had those on-demand replays available for people who wanted to pick them up and go through it on their own time, I'm going to tell you, this has been one of the biggest demands that I keep getting of people going, when are you going to do it again? And that's part of why this week's episode is talking about online hypnosis. No matter when you're listening to this, if you're listening to this before the event kicks off on Monday, June 19th, head over to dohypnosisanywhere.com. That's where you can find out all the details of this event. I will go ahead and tell you right now, yes, this is a paid event, and I know that some people in this community immediately get upset if somebody launches into a sales offer. Well, let me just take care of that easily here. This thing is $27. And I've purposefully put together kind of a massive stack of awesome things, which are worth far beyond $27. And there's a money-back guarantee attached to this event. And tracking it last year, the only person we gave it back to was someone who just couldn't connect and just goes, oh, I'd rather just wait around until you do it the next time. And guess what? That person, I'm not going to call them out by name, already signed up for this year's event. Check that out. So again, if you're one of those people who gets sort of turned off by a sales offer, as I like to say lovingly, relax your sphincters. This one's $27 and it's incredible value. You can find all the details, watch the video over at dohypnosisanywhere.com. And I'm going to dive right into this right here because I'm going to keep this episode brief. That way you can go directly to this website and claim your spot in this upcoming event. If you can be there live, awesome. If you can't be there live, no problem. We're going to take care of you. Everybody's going to get access to the replays, transcriptions of the material, and the way that we rock that out, as always, is lifetime access. I've got to quote Richard Nongard on this one, either yours or mine, whoever goes first. I took my vitamins this morning, so I'm feeling strong. So here we go. 5 specific takeaways around online hypnosis, which this is also going to address some of the biggest questions that I got in response to last year's event, as well as prepping for some of the updates that I've put into this year's event. First of all, yeah, there were people who go, yeah, but I want to see my clients online. Well, hang on a second, because here's where it gets kind of interesting, which would be, first of all, if you really think about it, all of the modifications that you might make to take the in-person session and make it apply over to an online session, well, guess what? I've figured out over the years that the same modifications you would make are often pretty similar to the exact same modifications that you would be using to take a session and then record it as an audio product, perhaps, and now have it for passive income. So yeah, the Do Hypnosis Anywhere 5-day challenge event is laser focused on exactly how to simplify, how to magnify the results of the hypnotic change work, even when done in an online format. Though, are you already hearing that, if you think about it carefully based on what I'm going to share with you, this is also going to help you to expand your passive income in your hypnosis business. Related to that too, the same modifications you would often make for the in-person session to go online also turn out to be not exactly, but really close to the same modifications you would make to actually do a group session and customize in such a way for a community of people rather than just one specific person. But again, the Do Hypnosis Anywhere 5-day online challenge is laser focused on online sessions. But again, look at that. We've just increased the scalability of your hypnosis work because the strategies I'm going to be sharing with you are also the ones you can use for selling products, also for running group programs. The biggest thing that I've got to point out here is that, you know what? I ran a local office seeing several thousand clients over the years for a little over about 13 years. Virginia Hypnosis, when I used to live up in Virginia. Then family and I moved down here to Orlando and kept many of the same clients, continue to work with clients online from around the world. And here's the reality of this. You don't have to be all of one thing. In fact, here's the moment where, have you ever run into this one? You have that client who, is so ready to dive in with you, and you might be booking them into a program, but then suddenly they look at their calendar and they realize, oh wait, I'm on a business trip that week. Oh, I should probably do this when I get back. And that someday becomes the easiest place for their excitement, their attention to kind of drop off, and that someday then becomes no day. Well, this is what inspired the recording of today's episode, which is that earlier this week, I had a client who had to randomly go on travel. And, some of you that follow me on social media have seen that I do this, that I'll often fly into an area a day earlier because I might be doing sessions, I might be teaching a class. And I have become an expert. I don't want to brag about this too much, but how to move all the lamps in a hotel room to get optimal lighting. And as much as there's little travel lights you can pick up on Amazon or from a camera shop, I don't pack any of that stuff anymore because, I can move around the lights, the lamps in the room, figure out the way to adjust the drapes, and then I'll make it work. Basically becomes this key. Well, as much as that was the case, here was the guy who was suddenly somewhere out in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm looking and going, it's dark behind you. He goes, oh yeah, I'm out in Washington State. Oh, it's early. He goes, yeah, but we're East Coast. We're used to this. I'm like, all right. And just continued on. I mean, the session was already online. He was already doing it from his laptop. So even for those of you that like seeing your clients online, no problem. However, think about it this way. It's becoming that strategy to then retain them and help them get that support even faster. Utilize the reasons where perhaps travel might be a conflict and now becomes every reason why they can absolutely create this change. So no matter the situation, no matter how you prefer to do it, I was the guy who years ago was a little arrogant about this and said, I have no problem filling up my local office. And with that, I'd rather just see them in person. But then it was because of the demands of the clients and fitting into their calendars. That's where, again, the main point here for point number 1 is about increased flexibility. Number 2, the second point, and this is, I've got to tell you, one of the bigger takeaways that people had from the event last year. And I've got some updates to this as well that I'm going to be sharing during the Do Hypnosis Anywhere event, which is let's talk about technology. Because I'm going to guarantee that you are making it harder than necessary. And I don't just mean harder than necessary in terms of gadgets. I mean, you just heard the story about how I used to travel with these rechargeable LED lights that were dimmable and just amazing. And now they just stay at home because I can find the lamps. I can move them around. I might have to drag the desk in the hotel room if I'm traveling over to that little half bath area because they usually put the toilet behind another door. But you've got this sink area with a light, and it's not just about that. It's the way that we're handling the online work. It's the way that we're addressing it with the client. It's the way that we're troubleshooting the scenarios. And some of you know my catchphrase on this, that you've all done hypnosis, even if you're brand new at this, more frequently than your client has. Therefore, it's kind of on you to become the one who is even more flexible inside of the work that you're doing. So again, I'm going to help you to simplify the online journey of this, and it's simple adjustments that really condition the online experience to become even more effective. I'm going to knock on wood as I say this out loud, the fact that I really don't have to do tech support with my clients anymore. And I'll tell you, that used to be the number one reason I resisted doing online work. And yet now with some very subtle adjustments and without overloading people on technology, and especially with point number 3, which is coming up next, it's these tiniest adjustments that make the technology incredibly easy, not just on you, but also with your client. And I just foreshadowed this one, so let's dive into it. The third update, tonality, attitude, and authority. These 3 things come together, tonality, attitude, and authority, because I will openly share that I've seen several posts online in the last couple of weeks, and this was already on our calendar. This was not inspired by, oh, this person said this negative thing. Oh, we have to do this now. No, this was already on the books. Yet it's that, oh, I had this client who did a session with someone else online and dogs were barking. That's why I like doing my sessions in person. Oh, I had somebody who had seen another client before and who had seen another hypnotist before and ran into this situation where the call dropped and it was a major letdown. Well, again, if you don't address it properly in advance, there's this thing we do called a pre-talk, and there's simple adjustments. The bigger aspect, though, is as much as I get into the linguistics, as much as I get into the specific word choices, let me tell you, first off, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So that's where tonality, attitude, and authority truly become those necessary elements that when the right sequences are plugged in, suddenly now there really isn't a scenario where something could go wrong in the session because it's now been cleared away as a concern in advance. Notice the phrasing there? I didn't say that it's not going to happen, because even with, I've got ridiculously fast internet here, but still, sometimes it blips. Sometimes the person's connection to the other side falls out. Whatever it might be, it's about the tonality, the attitude, and the authority to basically precondition anything that could go wrong to now become every reason why the session goes right back on track. So again, those of you joining this episode, we're talking about online hypnosis sessions. Specifically, how do we increase the confidence in doing them? How do we increase the confidence in booking more of them? How do we increase the confidence of the clients along the way too? And this is exactly what I'm going to be going deep into the details of in the upcoming Do Hypnosis Anywhere 5-day online challenge. Again, it's not exactly an encore event because I'm doing the whole thing again live with some really essential updates as well. And again, there's a video, there's a whole description of it, and you'll see that, yes, I'll just tell you the price. It's a $27 event for like 6.5 hours of stuff. Yet we're going to be supplying a whole bunch of bonuses, and look at the details on that dohypnosisanywhere.com page. My goal is to give you far more than 10 times the value. And of course, check out the details, watch the video. Here's the part that I've got to tell you was part of the inspiration of last year's event. And it's proven to be true more and more for obvious reasons, because the world has continued to open up more and more after coming out of the pandemic. And point number 4 is that you can create a seamless transition to in-person sessions. Let me say it again, a seamless transition to in-person sessions. And what I mean by that, and listen carefully to this phrasing, it's just as easy to work with the client online and then begin to work with them in person. That's a seamless transition. If it's you, though, and here's a funny thing, even for the brand new hypnotist, this was one of those side effects that I didn't predict. And it's kind of the reason why now my trainings are primarily online, unless it's something like the challenge training that I'm doing coming up at HypnoThoughts Live, challenge.worksmarthypnosis.com, where if you ever see me doing a pre or post conference at a convention, that's a different delivery of workshop where it's now more hands-on, more interactive. It's more of a done with you workshop as opposed to sit in the room and take notes, because if that's the format, we got a lot of videos online, right? Instead, though, if it's ever an in-person event, That's where you've got to modify it to then be something that should be an in-person event. If you're curious about that, check out challenge.worksmarthypnosis.com. We're talking about online hypnosis, though, side note, online challenges did prove to be one of the fastest ways that I found to fill the calendar with qualified clients. So, hey, check out that other website while we're here. But we're talking about doing hypnosis online. What I mean by that seamless transition, and yes, I'm going to blame technology for part of this, to take people in the room and then teach them how to do hypnosis in the room with fellow students practicing, and then say, here's how you do it online. By the time the students walked out the door, I mean, it just disappeared like a puff of smoke. And there's a time that we were arranging a big in-person event. I was doing a guest training in Virginia, and, suddenly came the idea to go, let's see if we can connect some computers and have people also practice this in online sessions. But you know what? We couldn't get the damn Wi-Fi at the hotel to work. So there's a lot more stuff to kind of jump through the hoops of to move from in-person to online. However, we had people going through even the Work Smart Hypnosis Live certification training that, were in parts of the world that either weren't as restricted during the pandemic or perhaps weren't as affected as strongly. And it was kind of an interesting moment where running some of these events over the last couple of years, here's people that are in their second or third lockdown in their country, and here's the one who's doing group sessions with their friends because they can in that part of the world, because very, very few cases, even out in a more rural segment of the world. So it's from that I made that sort of executive decision to go removing the main trainings to be interactive and online, where we don't have any Work Smart Hypnosis Live events planned in person anytime soon, because we proved we can teach it even better in that online format. And then if you're learning it online, to then transition over to in person, there's less moving pieces to have to sort with. So again, it's one of those unseen benefits. I had this conversation with someone just yesterday that their clients found out that she had gone through a training in stage hypnosis, and it was, I don't know if I should work with someone who's learned that stuff. I don't agree with that. She goes, well, hang on. And this is kind of what she and I workshop together. It's the fact that, first of all, just because I've been trained in it doesn't necessarily mean that's all that I do. The primary work she does is seeing clients. She took that training just to sort of round out the education of things. Highly recommended. The bigger part of the story, though, is, well, think about it this way. And I would back up this statement. Now, the catch is depending upon the model of hypnosis being used. There are some who it's just memorized patter and then it's a numbers game. And that's how some people in the stage hypnosis space do their programs. Well, I just say this thing and I'll pull up 20 people and I'll usually keep 7 or 8. That's good. And if that's working for you, more power to you. Keep it up. It's about entertaining the audience. However, to look at it from this other perspective of to work with 20 volunteers as if they were 20 individuals and work with them as if they were separate and distinct people so you could keep more people exactly where you needed them to be and have a much more profound program and still keep the same entertainment value. Anything wrong with that? So do you realize how, technically speaking, the skill set, let's say just in terms of how to hypnotize, has got to be a bit higher for that stage hypnotist? And you're calling me, asking about me working with you one-to-one. Do you see how that's going to be a whole lot easier? Yeah, so you kind of want someone who's been trained in that stage stuff. So again, look at how it's the framing. It's just the blinding flash of the obvious that comes into this. The final point, I'll wrap this up here, would be point number 5, high-quality referrals equal dream clients. Are you having any issues with people who don't agree with the value you're asking? You say a price and they go, whoa, that's too high. Or you've been struggling to raise the price up. Let's go hypnotic language. Let's go hypnotic presupposition on this one. You don't have to assume this next statement to be true, but if you operate as if it's true, it becomes true, and you can then do something about it rather than just blame the local market. The fact is, if people are pushing back on price, it means there's something you did not satisfy in their mind. You did not create a true, just transparent presence of value that then, even if the price was high, they go, oh, that makes sense. I know why it's that amount. The thing is, though, the clients who were coming in by way of referrals, especially when here's the guy who I worked with that was in the hotel room in Washington State, told the story about it to somebody at the event he was at and already has turned into a referral and has already been told the prices that were paid and is already emailing me ready to sign up and going, any chance we could start on this one specific date? And it's on my to-do list today because that came in overnight. And, well, yes, I can. That's not going to be the dialogue of, well, someone in my local area charges this, or someone on Groupon was charging that. No. You see how the pathway to expert positioning occurs faster when it's not just the person at the end of the street. It's not just the person down the road from me. It's not just the person at that well-known intersection, even though I used to have an office in that well-known intersection in Springfield, Virginia. It's instead that person who is showing up as the authority and as the expert. So again, if you want to do sessions in person, awesome. If you want to do them online, hey, I know a thing that's coming up. If you want to do a little bit of both, absolutely, we got you covered. And if you're curious to see what these variations are, and even better, how they can apply to other aspects of making our hypnotic work even more flexible, that's what this upcoming event is all about. So this episode is launching on Thursday, June 8th. And this event kicks off live and in real time on Zoom. It's going to happen beginning on Monday, June 19th. We're going 5 days straight for these 1 hour blocks from 12 p.m. in the New York City Eastern Daylight Time zone. From 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, there's going to be a bonus Q&A on Saturday. And again, Captain Replay has got you covered. Even if you cannot be there live, yes, I know it's the middle of the night over in Australia and New Zealand. We can't make the time work for everybody. Yet, at that time, the benefit becomes if you can be there, phenomenal. We actually had a few people staying up last year, which was really awesome. I would be asleep and just binge watching the replays. I also do that thing. Does it annoy you too when like some people put out videos and they don't turn on the option where you can like speed it up just a little bit, because you can still retain it all at like 1.2x, or some people watch it at the regular speed. That's a whole lot of extra technical stuff to talk about here. So again, whether you can be there in person, if you want to sign up and just get access to the replays, we're going to be archiving everything inside of an on-demand library exclusively for the people who sign up for this Do Hypnosis Anywhere 2023 event. A whole suite of awesome bonuses that, well, are pretty sweet. And you can find all the details, claim your spot now, over at dohypnosisanywhere.com. Hey, it's Jason Linett, and once again, thank you so much for subscribing to this program, sharing it in your ongoing conversations, and let's make this simple. If you haven't yet gone over to dohypnosisanywhere.com, go there right now. It'll take you less than 3 minutes to grab your spot for this event. It's low cost for the incredible amount of value that we've provided, and you're going to see that there's some bonuses and materials you can dive into right away if you're listening to this before the event kicks off. But even if you're listening to this one after the event kicks off, everybody's getting access to the replay library as well as the transcripts, which really help to clean up the knowledge of what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. And then the specific strategies broken down for you in meticulous detail. That's the Do Hypnosis Anywhere event over at dohypnosisanywhere.com. It's the 5-day challenge for confident online hypnosis. Grab your spot now, dohypnosisanywhere.com.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.